Okay, awesome. So we have Ajay and Ayaaz with us on this call. Guys, say hi.
Hey everyone.
Hi, hi, Ani.
By the way, Ayaaz had to set his hair before the call, so we gave him an extra 5 minutes for that. uh, but actually,
Not much improvement, anyway.
sorry.
Not too much of an improvement, but yeah.
uh, anyway, I thought I'll introduce the two of you, kind of give you a rundown for those people who are actually going to attend this for the first time and haven't heard of Art of Delight. To be honest, I used to use Corner House a lot, and then I had ice cream at Art of Delight once, and after that, dude, it's become a constant. Literally, the last year and a half. So you have me hooked and my wife. But Ajay has given me a little context about Art of Delight. So you guys started in December 2014, the residency outlet, which used to be earlier Corner House as the
First corner house, actually, yeah.
the first Corner House, right? And then you opened in Koramangala in 2017. And then I guess, when did you guys partner with Swiggy again?
So 2018 March was our first access kitchen with Swiggy. We started off in Whitefield. And post that, it's been scaling up at quite a fast pace. Yeah, we opened up a total of 7 cloud kitchens, and we had another physical location set to open. Everything's ready to open. So if once this whole thing passes, then we'd be ready to open with that one.
Awesome. And not only that, you guys have launched a second brand called Frosty Crumble, which was in 2019.
That's
right. And now Ajay is also a partner, and then they run this with Zainab, who's your third partner at Art of Life, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, guys, is I want to create the series where people can learn more about what's happening within the industry. I feel like you get a lot of information at a high level of predictions of, oh, this is what's going to happen in the restaurant industry. But I feel like you guys are really well connected in the space, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of get insights from your side. So obviously, I'd love to hear from you what was happening pre-COVID in terms of just this space, right? The restaurant industry, whether it's pubs or like fine dining, and then post this, like the last 3-4 weeks, once the whole lockdowns happen, how's everyone? What's happening across this industry right now?
So I think the industry temporarily kind of pretty much came to a grinding halt as soon as the lockdown was announced. Most of the industry, I think a bulk of the sales still happened, people actually going out and eating physically at the locations. So obviously with the lockdown, all of that was shut down. And I think then after that, a few of the cloud kitchens remained open. People still remained open for delivery, but not everyone, because there was a huge outflux of labor, which happened in the restaurant space. I think there were a lot of videos that went viral with the migrant workers actually going back to their places. Yeah. Most of the restaurant labor is actually from the Northeast and from the East, from Bengal and the Seven Sisters of Northeast and Assam and places like that. So I think a lot of labor was lost. So I think people were really struggling on how to get their operations back on. But I think a lot of places, I mean, not the majority of places, but a lot of places have resumed operations and are resuming operations as we speak as well. Like Truffles went live today, Nagarjuna went live today, and a lot of other big brands will be going live in the next 1 week, 10 days.
So they were initially on Swiggy, but then they were suspended for 3 weeks because they don't have labor, and now they're back on Swiggy, correct?
I think a combination of different factors, labor being one of them, and the other being just, I think there's a lot of confusion on the ground. No one knew what was going on, so everyone wanted to play it safe maybe, and also just take that time before resuming operations. Supply chain disruptions, it was difficult to get raw material, gas, stuff like that.
Have the prices of all raw materials in general gone up in the last because just, I guess, scarcity or not being created?
I think that effect will take some time to show up, right? Because I think as of now, people still had stock. So I think it was more about moving the existing stock that you have, especially.
But I think with perishables, a little bit with your vegetables and meat, yes, but that's not the space that we're in. We're in ice creams and desserts, so we don't buy vegetables and meat. So it hasn't affected us as yet, but I think we can expect it to hit us pretty soon.
Interesting. So now, obviously you guys are in this space. So how is everyone adapting to this? I mean, I don't see people going back to microbrewery over the next couple of months, right? Or even like fine dining. I mean, I feel like the lockdown is going to be extended till maybe end of April, and then you'll be released in small pockets. So how are you seeing people adapt? Are they just shutting down, or are they doing something different?
I think, like Ayaaz said, the initial reaction was to shut, just because, I mean, one, you want to guarantee the safety of your workers. You want to establish a supply chain and see if you can get raw materials. And I think slowly people have started coming online, obviously only in the delivery front. So I think one of the only avenues to probably get revenue over the next few months is probably going to be delivery. So I think you're going to see a few players who weren't a part of that space start entering that space now.
Are you seeing some changes already in that space where people didn't exist in delivery and now they're entering?
It's actually funny. If you open the Swiggy app up, there's the number of new brands that are launching right now, and it's just been 2 weeks, right? You know they're new brands because they don't have any ratings as yet. So the new launches happening. So obviously it's a very agile space. I think the restaurant industry, and people are pivoting quite fast and coming onto it. Also, I don't think with microbreweries and with like bigger restaurants, which were like 300-seater, 400-seater restaurants. It's not just the lockdown, but even going further down, maybe for the next 6 to 9 months, I don't think people would. First of all, I don't know when the government would let them open up. Number one, and number two, with the social distancing, I don't know how many people would actually be comfortable going to super crowded places and meeting. So it's going to be a different kind of industry post-COVID, I think.
Very interesting. And have you heard anybody take extreme measures and kind of saying, because at the end of the day, these guys still need to pay rent if they've leased the land, right? So have you heard anybody say, because dude, your operational costs, a huge aspect of it is rent. So has anybody, has anybody kind of shut shop or continue to pay?
I think it's still early days for people to shut shop, but I think a lot of malls have already announced that they're going to waive rents off. The Prestige Group came out quite early and they said that they're going to waive all rentals off until the lockdown ends. I think a lot of other landlords, like bigger corporations, would also be waiving rentals off. I mean, it would be not wise on them to squeeze people for rentals at this point and then kill the business by the time the lockdown ends, and then they would be running empty anyway. So, I think that is there. And then the second thing is, I think restaurants in this have the option of, I think they just go in for like layoffs and not pay their labor until they can get back on board again. So I don't think it's going to be like an apocalypse where a lot of people shut down. I think people will
kind of
figure this out.
Right. So how are you guys kind of adapting to this? I mean, it's cool that you guys have 7 cloud kitchens. So I mean, I've seen obviously Swiggy. You guys are still pretty active on Swiggy.
Right.
You obviously have 2 active locations. How has this whole phase impacted you guys?
So for us, I think we sort of launched in a phased manner. Like Ayaaz said, we also had a huge outflux of labor just before the lockdown started. So obviously, like before transport was banned, people moved out of Bangalore as well. So we didn't have the labor to open all out in the beginning, and I don't think we were in a position to know the situation either, where we could guarantee safety of the staff and the delivery boys and who else was there. So I think we opened in a sort of phased manner. We started Residency Road first, and now we've opened a couple of cloud kitchens as well. And this is
you're doing this with limited staff, or you're full?
No, with limited staff.
Okay.
With limited staff.
Okay.
Yeah, with limited staff, and there are a few cloud kitchens where we have rooms right next to the cloud kitchens. So this allows us to have the staff there, not have them travel too much. So that makes it a lot easier to run the operation as well.
So you guys are technically still running like 100%?
So I think we've gone live. We've got 8 locations in total. I think as of today we're probably live in 6 locations. So yeah, it's almost back to normal, but we're running with a limited menu. We've got a limited number of passes for our employees, so therefore, like, not everyone is able to turn up for work right now, even with the ones that are still there. So the kitchen staff is not at 100%. So we're running with maybe about 40% of our regular menu.
And And since you brought that up, looks like, is your demand as a result, has the demand in some sense come down? Because now I feel like people have been forced indoors. I mean, we're still,
Demand
there's
is
a
actually peaked right now. It's gone up a lot.
Oh yeah?
But I think it's a temporary thing. It's also a lack of, there's no supply in the market. Some of the bigger ice cream chains are closed down right now. So a lot of the orders are funneled to us due to that. But we expect them to open up, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, and then things should stabilize, and then we could possibly see volumes dropping with uncertainty in the job market and financial uncertainty and things like that. I think people might start cutting down on outing out.
It's also ice cream season, so I think
it's the summer in some sense.
It's hot, so like that's a huge contribution to sales as well. So I think it's a little difficult to separate what the contribution from the actual weather is and what the contribution is from the lockdown. We'll have to wait a little bit.
Right. Now, okay, so I'm curious now. BCG came out with the report that potentially this lockdown might be till June for most countries, not just India, right, around the world, right? And let's say hypothetically, let's say this lockdown continued till then. I'm sure you guys had a strategy before this whole COVID thing happened. Have you guys in some sense said, okay, we're going to approach this differently moving forward? Because you said there was one brand that you're going to launch sometime this month.
We had a pipeline for the next year or so in terms of our expansions, whether we wanted to launch new brands and things like that. So I think that may be on hold a little bit in terms of anything new that we launch or any key decisions that we take. I think with all the uncertainty that's there in the market, I think that'll be on hold. But this is a good time to sort of reassess our operations and just fine-tune some things, just tighten up our costs and things like that. Because I think at this point, profitability is key because we don't know how long this is going to run. So it's important to just tighten up any and every cost that we have.
And are you guys only on one marketplace? Are you only on Swiggy?
For 7 of our locations, for 6 of our locations, we're only on Swiggy. We're exclusive with Swiggy. 2 of our locations, the physical outlets, we're not exclusive with Swiggy.
So now to be honest, I feel like this whole COVID is going to change behaviors altogether. So do you feel like you're going to say, okay, maybe, are you thinking more of an online focused strategy moving forward where you might be in multiple marketplaces with these new satellite kitchens that you open up, or these 2 exclusive offline stores, or no?
So I think that's kind of been our strategy for the last year and a half or so. We've only been focusing on online sales. I think it makes up about 75 to 80% of our revenue. Online sales do make up that much of our revenue. So also with most of our cloud kitchens, we don't have fixed costs with rentals. We pay commission on sales. And so, it wasn't such a big shock for us. This lockdown wasn't such a big shock for us because of the way we were positioned, completely by luck, of course. It worked out in our favor, I think.
Ajay, you're going to say something as well?
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of expansion, you were saying more cloud kitchens. I think as of now, we were more or less covering most of Bangalore, at least every area we wanted to cover. So I don't think we had I don't think there were any more cloud kitchens, at least in the pipeline. So I don't think that plan is affected in any way. The interesting part is I think we're now covering a larger radius with less cloud kitchens just because there's no traffic on the road.
So what's changed? So give me an example.
I think to take our Residency Road outlet, for example, I think eyeballing it, I think we covered a radius of about 3 or 4 kilometers earlier. Ayaaz, is that correct? Just in terms of if you open the app 3 kilometers away, you'd see it. More than that, you wouldn't.
Sure.
But now I think you see it you see Residency Road from Jayanagar, Koramangala and areas like that.
So I think it's gone up to about 8 or 9 kilometers right now, the radius. And earlier it was a dynamic radius depending on the time of the day, the traffic and stuff like that. So peak time traffic would come down to maybe 2 kilometers. Mid-afternoon, maybe it would go up to 4 or 5 kilometers. Now we're doing 8 or 9 kilometers all the time. So it's a good time to be efficient in your business, I think. Do less locations, have less locations live and cover a much larger area.
Interesting. And has your dynamic with Swiggy changed at all during COVID from a place of margins or costs going up or down?
We used to discount earlier. If you'd open our app up, if you'd open Art of Delight up, there'd be anywhere between a 15 and 20% discount, always running, with a cap, of course, of maybe 50 or 60 rupees, I forget. But with most of the competition not being live right now and us being the only ones in the market, we've taken the discounting off, and so the margins have improved for us. Also in terms of reduced menu size, but doing more volume, which also means that we don't get too much of our money stuck in inventory. We're running a more lean operation right now with slightly higher margins.
Was
And
there
I
a
think the discount.
Go ahead.
No, to the discounting point, I think if you open the app, I think most players have stopped discounting, at least the more local ones. Like maybe your big brands, your chains are still discounting. But apart from that, I think there's been a much stronger focus on cash flow and profitability, and a move away from discounting now.
Okay. I'm actually curious about the guys that work for you, right? So you said a lot of them initially had left, gone home, and then they've come back, or?
No, they haven't actually come back.
Okay.
A lot of them started actually leaving around the 13th or the 14th of March. I think they had a bit of a stronger sixth sense than us in terms of how harsh this lockdown was going to be. And a lot of them left much earlier. And they even said that, there's going to be lockdowns. They're going to start sealing borders, which even personally, I didn't know about that early. So these guys all left. That was maybe about 25% of our staff. A lot of others had their tickets booked for various dates post the 22nd of March. And then, of course, with the lockdown in the borders being sealed and the airports being shut and all of that, they haven't been able to go home and they're over here. But I've spoken to a lot of them, and now they've actually say that even if the borders open up and if the flights resume and things like that, they would still not go back home and they'd rather stay back over here and continue working.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is there a sense of, see, I'll give you an example, like one of my cousins, okay, so she stopped ordering from Swiggy because she's like, there's just a sense of paranoia, or like there's surfaces I don't know that people have touched, right? So are you seeing any effect of that from a demand side as well as from a employee side? Like, have they become a little more extra paranoid in this phase?
I think Swiggy's done a good job on that side in terms of enforcing hygiene standards, in terms of how they market that to the customer as well, and like they do contactless delivery. They ensure that restaurants do temperature checks and this sort of thing, and they marketed that to the customer as well. So you at least know that the person delivering your food has followed a certain safety standard. So I think that has helped alleviate some of that fear. But I mean, I agree with you that there are definitely a huge portion of people that avoid delivery. But then there's a huge section of society, again, who doesn't know how to cook and doesn't have help at home now because of the lockdown. So you have no choice but to order food.
Right. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up with maybe one or two questions. But what's the most ordered item now on Art of Delight during COVID?
I think it remains the same. I think our cheesecakes have done well always. I don't think that's changed significantly, and basically anything chocolate. So that's been the trend pre-COVID. It's not changed significantly post it either.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for doing this. And obviously, if there's, I would look forward for you guys to actually put out any content from a restaurant information standpoint, or just things that are happening, because I feel like you guys know the pulse better than a lot of people like us. So feel free to share that. No?
For sure.
Yeah, sure thing.
Cool. Guys, thank you for doing this.
All right. Thanks, Ani.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.